Blog Talk Radio. Greetings and welcome to the Sales Sense Reality Talk Show with your host, Mike Krause. Mike has sold over $100 million in sales and offers Fortune 500 strategies, tactics, and tools to sales professionals and business leaders. He created this show with one thing in mind, for sales professionals to share their secrets with each other. Join us every Wednesday at 12 to 12:30 Eastern Time, or sign up for updates on Mike's mailing list at salessensesolutions.com. Mike appreciates you listening and wishes you good luck on your next sales call.
Well, welcome. It's Mike Krause with the Sales Sense Reality Talk Show. Thanks for taking time out of your busy day. I'm really excited to have our guest today. Tom Haupt is a best-selling author and world-renowned speaker, facilitator, trainer in the arena of self-improvement and leadership training. Tom is the founder and CEO of Tom Haupt International, an organization with a purpose to empower and inspire people to transform their lives as they step into their greatness. For over 27 years, Tom has been coaching, mentoring, and teaching people to overcome self-limiting beliefs to capture their goals and dreams. As a basketball coach to young men and women early in his career to most recently in the last decade facilitating experimental and transformational seminars, his passionate, heartfelt, and empowered training throughout the world has supported thousands to create their life of their dreams. So without further ado, Tom, good morning. How are you today?
Good morning, Mike. It is absolutely a beautiful day here in sunny and warm Phoenix, Arizona.
I'm jealous. I'm up here in New York, and we're already getting the leaves to change, and you can feel the coldness coming in. So good for you to be in a warm place.
Absolutely. It's a great day.
Yes, absolutely. Well, tell the listeners a little bit more about yourself and kind of the inspiration behind the book, and just a little overall more information on yourself, Tom.
Sure, Mike. Well, thanks for the opportunity to share with your listeners a little bit about my background and about what I'm currently doing now. I have been very blessed and fortunate to be at this point in my life where I have spent, the better part of my life, about 30 years, as an entrepreneur in business and in sales, and particularly that's my forte. And so for approximately 30 years, I've been either working for myself, self-employed, or worked as a straight commission salesperson in various different fields and industries. So if I didn't wake up in the morning and decide to actually generate income and make something happen, I didn't get paid. And that's basically how I've lived the last 30 years. So never got a stipend, never got an advance, never worked off of anything of that nature. And so it's basically you got to get up, make something happen, or you're not feeding your family. So I've been very fortunate and blessed that I have a set of beliefs that support success and making things happen. And now, in the last 10 years, I've done various different personal development seminars, the likes of the Tony Robbins and the Canfields and the Les Browns and the T. Harv Ekers and the so forth. And I was very fortunate to be involved with a company, Clemmer & Associates, where I actually now am a contracted facilitator. So I actually facilitate 3-day seminars around the world on my weekends, and I facilitate personal development leadership. So in addition to that, I wrote a book around belief systems and what stops us in moving forward in our lives and accomplishing where we want to go, what we want to do. And I've gotten to the point where I can help enhance your success once you've gotten past what stops you.
Tom?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. So continue.
So the book itself is something that took about 2.5 years to write, and this book is titled Time Out Winning Strategies for Playing a Bigger Game in Life. Is broken up into 3 parts, and since I've coached basketball for many, many years as a volunteer, and I coach travel AAU teams, which many people are familiar with, I've had the opportunity to work with people, especially young people in particular, that are developing their awareness and their belief systems through experiences in their life. And what I have found is that we either have programs, which I call the plays in our life. We draw from our playbook, which are our experiences of life. And some of these plays and programs, they actually support us in moving forward and accomplishing what we say we want. And then there's some plays, like in any game, in particular basketball, the one I coach, some plays don't work. And so some of those plays, which are our belief systems, don't support us in moving forward. And I help the reader identify the 8 most common self-limiting beliefs, which truly are the anchoring self-limiting plays that stop us from moving forward. Once you identify, then you can actually break through, bust up, and develop new plays, new beliefs, new thoughts that will support you in getting what you say you want. So the first part of the book is identifying, discovering what stops me, and I help people, the reader, go through that. And then the second part is the breakthrough techniques that are required, and then what cements them in place is the strategies that I've incorporated. So it's a very well thought out book that anyone in sales, entrepreneurship, and business, I believe that all professional development is personal. In other words, if I'm whole, healthy, and complete, and I have a good mindset that supports movement in my life, then I can go out into the world and make anything happen, including in my business. So I believe that any kind of business training or business movement starts in the personal realm. So that's where I do sales training, and I get to the root of why people have call reluctance, why they're hesitant in asking for the big referrals, why they're not calling on the big executives and top people in their industries, and they're calling on the lower level folks that may not have as much juice, but it's easier, it's more comfortable talking to them as opposed to reaching out and going after the big fish in the ponds out there. Does that make sense?
Yes, it makes perfect sense. And one thing that I try to help with people as well is, actually, go back to the mindset. That's one of those things that I find very challenging when I'm doing some personal coaching and training, is to make that first step to change someone's mind. Is there anything that you have discovered through your research that someone can start to make that small or baby steps I refer to as just change their habits? Is there something that someone can do just to get going?
Well, I think that what's important to note is that most people will be resistant to change. Most people will be resistant to doing something other than what they've currently done to this point. Reason being is that our programs, our beliefs, the plays that I call that run our lives, they are addicted to our comfort. Because if you think about it, when we were very young, many of us were told that you can dream big and have anything and accomplish anything you want. Wouldn't you agree? You were told as children we can do anything we wanted. So what happens is we go through our lives, and when we get outside what we refer to as our comfort zone, and things are very uncomfortable, we usually go back to what's comfortable. We go back into our comfort zone. But then we have encouragement. We have people that tell us you can do it, when they're looking to motivate us, and they support us, and our spouses and whatnot, and we go out there again, and we go outside our comfort zone, and the further and further we get away from our comfort, you have these feelings of uncontrol. I'm out of control. It's uncomfortable out here. There's fear out there. There's fear of rejection. I don't feel good about myself, and this doesn't work. So now I go back into my comfort zone. So I move away from my goals and my targets and my quotas, and so now I'm back in my comfort zone. But you know what? It's another week. It's another month. Our managers and so forth are encouraging us, our friends, our associates are saying, you can do this, you can do this. And so you stretch, and you get outside your comfort zone. The further you get away from your comfort zone, all of a sudden these uncomfortable feelings come back over us, and we go shrink inside our comfort zone where there's less stress. Well, that's never going to accomplish what you say you want. But that's what happens because we have a mindset, a thought process that we're supposed to get outside our comfort zone. However, when we were told we can do anything we wanted, they never told us that we would experience those feelings. You see, the people at Mike that told you you can be an astronaut, a business person, a doctor, a nurse, a teacher, or whatever it is, when they told you those things, they forgot to tell us that there were going to be times where we were going to feel alone, uncomfortable, and have fear in our heart. We were not going to look good. We might look silly at times. We might just not make it happen. And so they didn't tell us that part. But if they said that was part of the process, then we would normally, at that moment we felt those things, we would continue to move forward. Why? Because we were told as children that that was part of the process in reaching our goals. And in fact, when you felt those things, get excited. Get really excited, because you were going to get closer, not further away from your goals and dreams. So because there was an element that we forgot to, our parents and the people that influenced in our lives forgot to mention that part about how it was going to be uncomfortable as we got outside our comfort zone, but get excited, we naturally would go back into what we know is comfortable because there's less stress in there. And so that's why there are people in business and life that will move out, come back, move out, come back, move out, come back, not knowing that that uncomfortable feeling is all part of the process to achieve your goals, your sales targets, your dreams, and so forth.
Absolutely. You have to keep going forward, which is a tough lesson. And I know that obviously you've been an entrepreneur all your life, and I've been in sales and entrepreneur myself all my life, and there are a lot of dark days. There's no question about that. And people do run back. They run back to, let's say if they were an entrepreneur, they go back to a corporate job or what have you. What are some things that someone can hang on, just like a ride in an amusement park, hang on until the ride is over? Are there some tips that you can share with people that kind of get them through those dark days just to keep focused on their goals?
Yeah, I mean, there's really two things in particular. Is accountability is big. Accountability, being held accountable, as well as being mentored by someone. If you have people in your corner, I think it's imperative that we all have someone that's in our corner that, regardless of how it feels out there, or like you say, using your words, there's a dark day or dark week or a dark month, that there's someone out there that can support you, and whether it looks like patting you on the back, whether it looks like kicking you in the butt. But accountability, if you feel as though, especially in sales, I mean, I've never worked in a sales environment where I had a sales quota or I lose my job, because I've been working for myself my entire life. And so there was never that pressure or stress of having to hit a target. But there are many, many, many people that work in business today that are required to hit certain marks, otherwise they lose their job. That's got to be an added amount of stress. However, that aside, if I were to have someone that's on my team, so to speak, an accountability partner, or an associate that I work with in partners, and we check in on each other. I know for me, over the years, mentoring was very, very important. When I'm mentoring somebody that has less skills, let's say, than myself, or a lesser skill set, but I'm mentoring or holding them accountable in a sales position, I know that in order for me to hold someone else accountable, or for me to mentor someone and share my so-called wisdom and expertise with them, well, I would think that I would have to be doing what I'm telling them to do. So by the simple fact of me sharing with someone else and holding them accountable and asking them to do something, how is it that I could ask someone to do something that I'm not willing to do? So just that simple ability to mentor and coach and provide that expertise to another person in my field, I would have to do those things myself to be a leader, as opposed to do what I say, not what I do.
That is so true. That is so true, to take that your own medicine, I guess. You know, there are a lot of self-help or personal and professional growth and self-improvement out there. What makes yours, you know, so different for people to engage and go through this growth process?
Great question. As I wrote it, and it took, like I said, 2.5 years to methodically plan this out, and what makes it really special is the fact that it's application. There's application applied to it all throughout. In other words, not only am I asking the reader to do some reflection on themselves and do some serious thought about what are the identifiable programs that stop me. But once I identify them through a series of workbook technique exercises, then I offer the solution. In other words, it's just not all theory. It's just not all me supposing. It's me talking about a concept or an idea and then challenging you to actually take action on and to prove me wrong otherwise. In other words, take what I have to say, great, but don't take it as just a grain of salt. Just say, you know what, let's see if this is true or not. But in order to test that theory, the idea or concept, I actually have to do something. So I'm always challenging people's thinking throughout the whole process, not just saying take my word for it, but think this thing through, think this thing through. And when people are going into that methodical thought process, they're actually having an experience of what they're reading as opposed to just reading it for the sake of reading it. In other words, the book that you read 2 months ago, the last book you finished that was 3, 4, 5 months ago, you certainly don't remember what was in each and every chapter. You might remember one particular chapter. You might remember 1 or 2 exercises in it or thoughts around it. But the feedback I've been getting from people from all over the world that I have that have been buying the book is that it's so not intense but involved. It's like it takes work to get through it. Well, that's the motto of life. Anything worth having in life takes work. Well, this book takes work. So it's different than the typical traditional book where it just talks about theory, gives you a whole bunch of quotes. You know, all these quotes throughout the book, you know, great. They're not in mine. They're at the end. I have just one section where I have all these quotes because it's great to be reading quotes throughout people's books, but for me personally, that doesn't do anything. I want something I can sink my teeth into. And so the feedback around the book is, man, you really got to do your work. You really got to do the work. I mean, in fact, someone gave me 4 stars instead of 5-star review because she said, is an independent reviewer, she said she doesn't think most of the readers are going to actually do the exercise because they're so intense, they're so challenging that she thought that most people won't even want to do the exercises. So she gave me a 4 out of 5, but that's okay. I'll take that. It really does serve people. It's a seminar and a book. You know, that's the best way I can explain it. It's a seminar and book. It's the best I can do to get people to have an experience as opposed to just an intellectual read through the book, if that makes sense.
No, that does make sense, a seminar and a book. And, you know, change or making little improvements throughout your life is not an easy task, and it's not for everyone, that's for sure. It's a lot of work to make these changes. You got to keep pushing forward, and I like that you use your words, a seminar and a book. So that's nice because, and everyone does want a little bit sometimes easier and things like that. But if you want to make these changes, like you're saying, it does take a little bit more time and work. So you share 13 winning strategies for playing a bigger game in life. What are they, and how do they improve or enhance someone's life?
Well, it all starts with implementation. In other words, you know, you said it yourself. There's many books around personal development, personal growth, and I believe this book supports people in any industry or any business they're in because the strategies that I offer will support you in whatever business. So if we take sales, for instance, one of the strategies, and again, some of these that have been read, you know, some of these are in other books. Some of these I've heard and read in other places, but it's the context in which I present them which is really important and how I put it all together. If I can just back up for a moment, Mike, the whole essence of the book is around the word risk. See, I believe that people are very fearful and afraid of taking risks because risks by nature, the definition, is something that you wouldn't want to do if you read it out of a dictionary, the possibility of a loss or injury, a dangerous element or factor to expose to hazard or danger. So when you hear that definition, no one in their right mind, yours or mine, would want to take a risk. It's just too dangerous. Why would you do that? But in the context of moving in my life, in order for me to move outside my comfort zone, I do have to take a risk. I have to do something different. That's the key. So I'm asking people to reframe and recontextualize that word risk so that I can move forward. And so that means I've got to do something different. How I define it as risk is simply an element of the unknown, which it's an element of the unknown. And that establishes, by taking a risk, establishes the possibility of achievement. You see, anything new and different is going to be in the realm of possibility, which is where we haven't experienced life yet. The realm of probability are the experiences we have had in our life. So if I live in probability, I'll always have what I've always gotten. If I live in possibility, then there's the potential of hitting my goals and dreams. So that transition, that doorway, that bridge that you have to cross is the risk. You have to take the risk. So my challenge for people in the book after I go through all of this is I challenge them by taking a risk and actually taking action on the things they've read about in the past, but I'm going to, go over some of them that you may have heard. So in other words, be a visionary of your life. In other words, you have to have a vision of what your life will look like, and you have to plan it, because whatever you believe, you achieve. Whatever you see in your mind's eye, you can cause and create to happen. So you have to put that out on a vision board. So have a vision board. My vision board for myself, my fiance has one, and then we have one together, is on the back door of our front door when we leave into the garage to go out into the world. We see it when we leave, so we actually take action. You have to have I am affirmation cards that you carry around. You have to have a I am affirmation, because you have to be before you can do, before you can have. So how am I being? I am. I'm operating from an I am statement I carry with me along with my goal cards. I have my goal card for the week or the month or the year. I have it written out, my declaration of what I am going to accomplish by a certain period of time. I sign it. It's a commitment to myself, and I wrap it around my money in my money clip. So whenever I touch my money in my money clip and pull my money out, which I'm using throughout the day, my hand is always getting connected to that goal card. And so it's always a visual. When I hit the goal card, I visualize what I'm accomplishing. That's also has to do with positive triggers. You want to put positive triggers around your home, around your office, that support you in moving forward, not necessarily of the past, of what's next in life as a positive trigger. You want to record a narrated visualization. In other words, I have a visualization of what I want my life to look like in personal and business in 5 years from now, what I'm driving, where I'm living, the vision, where I'm sitting, what I'm doing, who I'm talking to, those kinds of things. And so I have and I listen to it from time to time. I'm very conscious and aware of the words that come out of my mouth. And in the book, I define some very strong self-limiting words that you need to eradicate from your vocabulary, such as but, can't, try, and the words working on it. You have to eliminate but, can't, try, and working on it. And when you say those words, you get fined, and you take that money and you do something with it, or someone does that money. That's a penalty if you say those words in the company of people that know that you're looking to eliminate self-limiting words. I'm a big advocate of workshops and seminars in any aspect of life, whether it's on the personal side or on the business side. You want to be a lifelong learner. If you're not, you're decaying, you're shrinking. Constantly reading books and listening to CDs. I mean, I have my book. I got a CD coming out, a 41-minute Master Your Mind CD that's coming out. Be on my website soon. I'm always listening to other people's work, the Jim Rohns and the Zig Ziglars and the Tony Hopkins and the Tony Robbins. I have all of that stuff. Toastmasters, I think, is a brilliant organization because it supports people, especially in sales, in getting the cotton out of their mouth and being quick on their feet. In other words, instead of coming and operating from rote, it supports people in allowing them to really be creative and speak on their feet. And I'm a big advocate of that. Draw up a life list, all of the things that you want to accomplish. I got that from Mark Victor Hansen many years ago at a seminar I attended, what you want to accomplish by a certain point. Design and draft up a personal, family, and professional mission statement. Have a mission statement for yourself, have a mission statement for your family, and have a mission statement for your business. And then finally, read the Bible, pray, and or meditate daily or weekly on an ongoing basis because I believe that there's something bigger than ourselves that can support us in moving forward in our lives. So I think it's just an honoring of self. to do something like that. So those are 13, and here's what I'm going to say. They work. Why? Because I've used them, I've implemented them, and so it's not something that it's just theory for me. I believe in it, and that's what I teach, and that's what I talk to people about.
I love that, Tom, because I'm a big believer in what you just stated, the lifelong learning, the visualization, having your mind clear, writing your goals down, and it's the same thing that Olympians do. You know, I read Michael Phelps' book, and it's, you know, you start living the time or the dollar amount or your vision, and it starts to become reality. And it's so great for people that have never tried these theories just to jump in. You have nothing to lose by trying them, and it works. It's just so powerful. I'd like the vision board before you leave. I've never put mine. I have it in my office, but I've never put it on the way out. I should do that. So
yeah, I get to see it every day when I'm walking out. So and I see mine, my fiance's, and then the combined one for the family, for us, you know. And I just think it's a brilliant idea as a constant reminder. These are all great in theory if you just leave them in a book, but if you put them into practice, if you talk to, I'm going to encourage whoever's listening, I'm going to encourage you, the listener, to go out and interview the top 3 people you think are the most successful people in your life, who you think are successful, that you think are successful in your town, community, whatever it is, and interview them for 30 minutes. Say, I want to take you to lunch. I want to take you to lunch, and I'm going to interview for 30 minutes, and I'm going to buy you lunch, and we're going to have fun the other 30 minutes. But I want 30 minutes of your time. Let's meet at this really nice place and interview them and ask them the questions in and around why, what causes and what creates the success for you in your life. And you'd be surprised. These 13 strategies, I'll suggest to you that more than half of them are being implemented by those successful people.
absolutely. Anyone that's successful, it's not by accident. You know, it's by driving and writing your goals down, too. That's one thing. Most people, yes, they have goals in their mind around January 1, and then like January 3rd, those are all gone. Mm-hmm. If you live it and you breathe it, it becomes you, and that is so important. And going to seminars and learning is so critical. So,
yeah, one of the most successful people that I know in sales is a guy who you'll find him in the front row of just about every seminar that comes through his town. Every time I go out and I see him, he's always sitting in the front row. I go, I know why you're in the front row, but a lot of people are probably wondering why you're in the front row. I know why you're in the front row, but a lot of people that know him go, why would he go to this? Because he's so successful. But that's why he's successful, because he's always going to the seminars and workshops that come into town.
yeah,
it's great stuff.
And that's it. You're a lifelong learner. Who's that person? Do you mind sharing?
No, his name is Jordan Adler. He's the #1 income earner for a network marketing company called Send Out Cards. He's always he's a phenomenal. He's $1 million plus a year in income, and he's always improved. He's always going to the Tony Robbins, the Tom Hopkins. It's the most fascinating thing. He's brilliant because he's just absorbing and moving and absorbing and moving. With that being said, I have 9 success stories in my book. He's one of those. He's one of the 9 success stories that I interviewed. See, so I did what I just challenged people to do. I actually interviewed people. I have 9 success stories in my book around why, what caused and created the success in their life. And my book can be found at my website at TOMHAUPT, tomhaupt.com. And I have some free downloads on the 8 dream stealers that don't support people in their life, and I have some other freebies on there. And right now I got the book that I sell. I do some sales trainings and leadership programs, so if anyone's interested, they can reach me at tom@tomhaupt.com.
Yeah, excellent. Well, Tom, I really appreciate taking time out of your busy day, and I love the positive reinforcement conversations because, you know, your life can be totally different if you take into what Tom has just mentioned and apply them. That's the key word, apply them and execute them. But I really have learned a lot. And any closing statements or anything, Tom?
Hey, I just wanted to thank you very much for the time that you put into this and to provide your listeners with a forum that they can support, that can support them really to move them in their business. Anything, I'm truly about contribution and giving back because I know it'll come back to me if I'm just outward focused. So you're outward focused. I've listened to your show before. You have a lot of great guests, and I've been really impressed by your success. And so I just want to say thank and keep in touch. If there's anything I can do for you, you let me know.
Thank you so much, and vice versa, too. Tom, thanks again for taking time out of your day. And everyone, I wish you good luck on your next sales call. Thanks again.